often, simple tools like a Sharpie or some Scotch tape or Velcro, it just makes life a lot easier. So we're just going to do this the easier way here. Let's go ahead and we're going to stand up here, make sure this is completely lined up nice and flush here. The motor is centered and the box is centered. Granted, if I'm building this without the camera on, the back side of this would definitely be pointed towards me so I can find out exactly if it's centered. But this way you can see in the camera that this is pretty centered there. And it lines up with the slots that are on the foam anyway, the pre-cut ones. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna mark the tabs just real quick with a black Sharpie. There we go. Can't see that one. Okay. Because the tabs on the bottom of the motor box here are of this plywood motor box are a little bit thicker. These tabs here, now you can see that I marked them. It's easier to go ahead and just use your X-Acto. The slots are exactly where they need to be, actually. But I'm just basically hogging it out just a little bit to make it a little bit wider and a little bit easier to insert that motor box tab into here. Okay. And then if you have a flathead screwdriver or something of size, you can make the tab slots here just a little bit wider just by spreading out the foam a little bit. So that's just a little tip there. You don't have to, but often it does help a little bit. Okay, there we go. So now we will definitely test fit this. Okay, we'll just go ahead and line it up and then press down. This part here, it's definitely going to deform the foam a little bit because the tabs are pressing down into the foam. So you got to make sure that all of the cutouts are pretty good and then pretty much wide enough before you can actually press these on down. So that's pretty much okay there, but I don't like the fitment, so I'm going to, you can see that I pressed down on it. I'm actually, this is another tip here, I'm actually going to, once you press down enough on it, you can see where the tabs are actually at, and you can actually just go ahead and remove a little bit of foam material from the tab area. This just makes it fit better. Okay. There we go. The tabs are definitely wider than just an X-Acto cutting kind of a slot. So that's why I'm going to just remove a little bit of foam from the material wise so that this will fit a little bit better. And the reason why this is done like this, you know, and not cut out to where you can have big old gaps in here already, is because there's a lot of people out there, a lot of you hobbyists out there that will be customizing this wing to your own liking. You may not be wanting to use this motor box. You may want to hide all your electronics inside the foam underneath. I know a lot of people that are doing that, so that's why they don't cut that out. They just put little slits in there just so that it gives you the option of what you want to do. So now, as you can see, that is a perfect fit on there. Okay, so that's a perfect fit on the motor box. And we're gonna call that ready to glue when you choose to glue it. This part here, I don't suggest you glue it with any kind of super glue, CA, because the likelihood of actually wanting to remove the motor box to get to the electronics underneath are pretty high, just in case you need to get down there. And for that reason, we will definitely just use the included rubber cement to glue this down. But right now, we actually don't need to glue this down. We need to move on to the other portions of the build before we glue this down. This can be glued down at any time and then let it sit and then let it dry. Also, another tip for you there is when you glue this motor box down, there's not a real need to run a bead of glue all the way down the line and the tabs and everything. because this motor box doesn't have too much stress on it. It's just sitting on top of there, and you want it to give, you want it to have some kind of give in case you do crash hard enough. Sometimes the motor box will just pop off, and then you just pop it right back on. So what I suggest is just using the glue on the tabs. So you just want to cover the tabs pretty well with the glue, and then gluing it down into the slots. That way it's just held on by the tabs, and at any time you can pop this off to remove it, to get to the receiver, to get to whatever you need to do. That is down here. Okay, so that's just a tip there. We're going to go ahead and press this down into place here, and then we're moving on to servo installation.